Just before I begin this podcast, I just want to say a few things. There was a lot of talk about Frankie and the truthers, and, this idea of Frankie being held responsible for what the truthers did. At the end of the day, I'm not afraid to criticize Frankie, but at the end of the day, he can't be held responsible for the videos that the truthers made. He can't be held. People who made videos about AD, that was their doing, not his. And even if he was friendly with those people and he wrote, comments underneath their channels, at the end of the day, they chose to do that. So he can't be held responsible for what Martin Dehan put out, or for what JC put out, or anybody else. And I used to make videos of AD as well, and they're still up on my channel. So, he can't be held responsible for that. And there's this thing about AD, and he was being followed and stuff like that. Yeah, I didn't agree with that. I'll be the first one to say I did not agree with it, didn't like it. As much as my correspondences with AD, my brief correspondences by proxy with AD have always been pleasant. I don't dislike the man. He's not my favorite person, never will be. But he has been fairly pleasant to me, and I've been fairly pleasant to him. But yes, if you go around shaking people's tree, they'll shake back. I don't agree with him being followed to poker tournaments and on holiday. Nope, don't agree with that at all. But guess what? He didn't hesitate to do that to Nicole Kessinger. So, all of that stuff about him being followed around, well, he was doing it as well to other people. And did he care about NK being followed? Or, I don't think he cared. AD only cares about himself. So yeah, you shake people's tree, they'll shake back. And yeah, the family were shaking their tree and people joined them because they felt strongly about what he was doing. The other thing I want to mention is, although I don't speak about seeking the truth anymore, or I hardly speak about him. Once in a while, I'd just rather not. I'd rather put that to bed. But credit to him if he found this information about NK. It's sad what happened with me and Dave, because the thing about Dave, when he is a nice person, when he's being nice, he can be such a lovely guy. He was very good to me when we were friendly, as so were others, and I'll talk about that in a different podcast. He was very good to me when we were friendly, and he was very funny, and he can be very engaging. It's just, I critiqued him on some of the stuff he was saying about Shannon and stuff, and it didn't go too well. But credit to him if he found this NK stuff. I'll give him credit. What's the other thing? I think that's it. So I just wanted to preempt these podcasts with what I'm saying here, just so that if I say certain things, I want to explain why I might have said them. There are times when I do not know where to start, and I guess that's just me showing you that I'm human. I don't know where to start. I don't know whether to start with Selena or Nicole Kessinger or AD. Anyway, I guess I'll start with the Nicole Kessinger thing, because it's everywhere. Apparently, NK has been found attending a funeral in a part of the country that is not Colorado, that is not Carolina. I actually know where it is, but I'm not going to say. And it doesn't really matter. Nicole Kessinger being found, so what? I mean, so people have her, they see her going to a funeral, they've got footage of it. She's put on a little bit of weight. And so what? It makes no difference to the Watts case. All it does is add fuel to the fire of the Get NK fanatics, people who want to get NK. At the end of the day, she has a right to go to anywhere she wants, and she has a right to be able to talk to people, attend an event, have food. She's never ever going to be held accountable for what happened in the Watts case, and I can guarantee you on that. I can guarantee it. Never will she be held accountable. So even if you find her living next door to you, it's going to make no difference because Weld County are not interested in her. And that is the fact. That is the truth. It's an unpopular truth because people, there's a petition being signed and people want NK to be looked into and stuff like that. Weld County have said they're not interested. That is the truth. That is a hard, cold fact. But people will, get their views on Nicole Kessinger and what have you. And guess what? I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily saying, this is what she looks like. This is what she's doing with her life these days. But I think the intrusion into her personal life, just like people talk about that with AD, I think it's wrong. No one has the right to intrude on anyone's personal life. And yeah, this is going to be unpopular. I don't mind being unpopular. That's fine. I'm here to give my opinions. No one has to agree with everything I've got to say. That's absolutely fine. But it's not going to make a difference to the Watts case. I can tell you that from now. Some people say that if AD had a lawyer, that he would have won. I've had people come to my channel and say that, even write comments about that. I don't believe he was ever going to engage with the case. He's made it to the Daily Mail. He's made it, he's all over, his name is all over social media about him being a YouTube sleuth, cashing in what he did with the Watts case and everything. But I don't think he was ever going to engage with the case because in his mind, he's done nothing wrong. He knows he has done something wrong. This is the gaslighting part of it all. He knows he did wrong, but he'll never admit to it because he's too narcissistic. He's too egotistical. He'd rather see himself as a hero. He'd rather see himself as somebody who found something that nobody else could find. Like he says, he's a shadow man. I saw what Ellie didn't see. He'd rather put himself in that position as a hero because he's a narcissist and he'll always be a narcissist. He doesn't have empathy. So the fact that the narrative is that he has lost, the fact that that's the narrative out there and it's been put out there and placed on there on, media sites, that is an injury to his overinflated ego. That's an injury to AD's ego. So all the stuff about how he's going to counterclaim this and all that kind of stuff, that's all false bravado. It's a protection point for his ego because his ego has been bruised. No one is going to win anything. The Ruseks are not going to get any money out of AD. But you know what I'm happy for the Ruseks about? I'm happy that he has been held accountable in the sense that the media sites like the Daily Mail and whatever other site are reporting on what he did. And the Ruseks get to tell their side of the story. That's what I'm glad about because that's really, apart from the fact that he lost his YouTube channel, which his YouTube channel was everything to AD. That was more important to him than anything. That was really where he lost, in my opinion. Not really with this court case, but losing his channel. His channel meant the world to him. But I'm glad, because he's a narcissist and because any kind of the truth, people finding out the truth about him is going to be an injury to him. I'm glad that that's been put out there on Daily Mail sites or whatever site, because I think that's where the Ruseks get their victory, in a sense. Not in the judgment so much, not in the money, because they're not going to get any money out of AD, but in the fact that he's been held accountable in the public eye. And that is what is going to really be upsetting to AD, because he's so narcissistic and so full of himself. And a lot of people buy into him as well, but particularly women. They buy into the false bravado that he puts out there. And so this will be very, very, this will be profoundly bruising to his ego, but he's not going to get anywhere with the counterclaim. Where was his counterclaim before? It's too late now to do anything, but no one has really won anything. AD was never going to engage with the case. And like I said, this whole NK thing about seeing NK after all these years later, people are using that as if it's some big discovery, which isn't going to make any difference to the Watts case. And I don't think, just like I said, if AD did have a lawyer, it would have made any difference. He wasn't going to he wasn't going to be recouped for loss of earnings. And I'll tell you why. Because he would have had to prove exactly how much money his channel was making on a monthly basis. And I don't think the courts would have cared how much he lost financially. They don't care. They don't think they would have cared. That's for one. And he would have had to prove that he was making this money, this amount of money, a fact. If he would have had to give them a proper figure, and with proof. And he also would have had to be paying tax on it for him to be recouped or reimbursed or get compensation. So I don't think he was ever going to get compensation. That's his dream, to get compensation and to be vindicated in that. That would be his dream, because that would reinstate his fragile ego. But that's never going to happen. And I don't think there was any way. I don't think in any way that AD was right in what he did with the Watts case. So I don't think he would have had a chance anyway. But like I said, no one is going to end up really winning. I think the win is the fact that he lost his YouTube channel, which I don't even know if the Rusex had anything to do with that. I think he lost his channel perhaps for his own greed. And if somebody can prove me otherwise, go right ahead. I don't mind being wrong. If he lost his YouTube channel because of the case, then you can let me know, if you can provide proof of that. But I'm not like I really care, but I think that was really what upset him. And the fact that now the record is being set straight, that will be a huge thing for his ego. But there will always be people that AD can fool, and that's what he depends on. So he's always going to try and put it out there that he's a sympathetic figure, because that brings in, gaining sympathy from people. That's what he likes. That's what narcissists love. They love if you can sympathize with them and feel sorry for them, and then hopefully give him some money as well. That would be really like a bonus for him. But I don't think he was ever going to have a lawyer. I don't think he ever planned on engaging with this case. I think it's just all about him and him being a sympathetic figure, and pretending that he wanted justice and pretending that he wanted the truth. And really, we all know, anyone who has half a brain knows that AD wasn't after justice. He was after money. He was after clout. He wanted to be, and the thing about it is that he used to really take the mickey out of true crime rocket science. Nick, I think his name is, a South African guy whose channel is now huge, much bigger than AD's channel ever was. And AD had a good sized channel at 80,000 plus. But Nick's channel is massive. I think that's his name. I'm not 100% sure. And I remember when he had less subscribers than AD. He had like 24,000 subscribers and AD had 60. And AD used to see him as like, small potatoes because he didn't have as much subscribers as AD. And AD used to make fun of him. Now, AD has lost everything basically. And Nick still has that channel. And it's a huge channel, much bigger than AD's was. And I think there's a lesson to be learned about that. Never ever overestimate yourself. Never inflate yourself. There's somebody who used to do that on here and they ended up in the ground, didn't they? Never ever inflate yourself. Never ever be too. Never try to make out that you're more than what you really are. That's where I'm honest with you about certain things. I say, I have anxiety, I have this, I have that. I'm imperfect. I'll never be perfect. I don't know how to be perfect, and I never will be. And certainly my life is not perfect either. I've had a great life, yes, but it's not perfect. And I'm not perfect. I'm just a girl with the girl next door with a very, very small channel. So I don't want to stay too long on here, but or with this, but I was delighted when I heard that Yolanda Saldivar was denied parole. for what she did to Selena many years ago. You know, I was a teenager when I watched the Selena movie, and it starred Jennifer Lopez, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And Selena had everything going for her. And I think the two parallels of Selena's life and Yolanda's life, I think people play on that. You know, Selena was young, she was attractive, she was talented, she was rich, she was successful. But it wasn't just her outer beauty and her outer talent that was wonderful about her. She was also very loving, she was very family orientated, she loved her family, she was good to people, she had a good heart, she had a good soul. And it's because she was a sympathetic person that she ended up being alone with Yolanda. She should never ever have tried to help her. She should have never had any feeling for her after she found out. Well, what happened was, to cut a long story short, her father found out because she was the fan club president for Selena. Her father had found out. Selena's father had found out that she'd been taking money from the club, and that people had ordered things that they didn't receive, items that they didn't receive, as some people complain about the whole Frankie raising money situation. I believe that Yolanda had been pursuing Selena because she had an obsession with her. She'd been pursuing her for a long time, and she was able to somehow use her charm, as manipulative people do, to get in with the family and become an important, well, she became the fan club president, and her and Selena were apparently very close, and Selena trusted her, and obviously she broke that trust. And it's because of Selena's caring nature why Yolanda was able to do what she did. What Selena should have done was never contacted her again and never had anything to do with her ever again, and she would still be here today. But because she was a loving, caring person, and she allowed Yolanda to further manipulate her, why she ended up the way she did. And I'm so glad that she was denied, because you know, for what she did. You know, Selena was such an inspiration to young women and young girls all across the world, but particularly to Latino women. And she would have been a huge star had she, you know, if she was still around, she would have been a big, big star. I think it was absolutely the right decision for her parole to be denied. So, and I'm going to quickly wrap this up with, and not everyone knows who she is, Selena is, but I wanted to talk about that because I'm a Selena fan.